Oh, what a group. And we love Green Bay, and I have to tell you, you have a really properly run team. Don't we agree? And Tom Brady's a great friend of mine from New England, okay? But he said you have a great quarterback. That's nice, right? When Tom Brady says it, that's nice. And Tom is a terrific guy, and he really does. He says the team is a great, really well-run team. So for whatever that's worth, that's nice. Sit down, everybody. Let's have a little fun. Let's have a little fun. Thank you very much. I see so many young people in here, but I see a couple of guys my age, right? There's one right there. But I see a couple of guys my age. And I thought we'd do something a little different. We could talk a little bit about success for all the young people. The old people, who knows? Maybe you'll become more successful. Maybe you'll give you, we have thousands of people outside trying to get in. Does anybody want to leave? We'll talk about some. Does anybody want to leave? Huh? No, I'm only kidding. But we have a lot of people. We have loudspeakers set up outside because they're hearing. So I really appreciate this incredible turnout. Wisconsin is very important. It's becoming more and more important. We can get there. We have a movement going on. It's an incredible movement. It's a movement like they haven't seen in this country maybe for a long, long time. It's been covered recently on the covers of Time magazine numerous times. It's been covered by everybody. Front page of the New York Times, front page of the Washington Post, front page of everything. And it's an amazing thing to see. If you look, and I was just seeing even this morning, and I've known the statistic for a long time, but workers, people that work very hard, blue-collar workers, for 12 years they haven't had an increase, an effective increase, and it could be a lot longer than that. But, there's a lot of anger out there. There's a lot of anger from people that aren't angry people, but they're upset with the way our country's run. Recently I was interviewed by the New York Times and to an extent to the Washington Post, and they were asking me different foreign policy questions, and one of the things that was brought up was NATO. Now, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been very, very successful. I built a great, great company. I posted numbers that were incredible numbers and all of that stuff. But, I haven't been big into NATO, but we also have instincts and we also have common sense. And I have, studied it over the years and certainly read a lot about it. And I said it's obsolete, and it is. It's obsolete. It's 68 years old. It was done at a different time. It was done at a time when you had the Soviet Union, which was different than Russia. It was bigger than Russia, and Russia's plenty of problem, but the Soviet Union was a bigger problem. And it was done before terrorism as we know it today. And I said it's obsolete, and I said we pay too much. Our country pays too much because a lot of you kids are going to go out looking for jobs. We don't have good jobs anymore. Our economy is all of our good stuff is being taken. It's being taken over by China. The great jobs are being taken over by Mexico. You look at Nabisco. You look at Carrier Air Conditioner. You look at Ford. They're moving into Mexico. And I said, look, with NATO and with so many other things, we pay too much. We're paying for such a big proportion. We have about 28 countries in NATO, and we're paying a far disproportionate share. Well, we owe $19 trillion as a country. We owe $19 trillion. We made a terrible, terrible budget deal, like a disgusting budget deal, a budget deal that gave Obama, gave people coming in from Syria, gave people coming in, illegal immigration, all of the funding they need, and we get nothing out of it. I don't get why we made the deal, but we made it. But we're not going to make deals like that anymore. But what happens is we're not keeping our great jobs, and frankly, from the standpoint of all of the youth that I see before me, when you graduate from this great college, I just met the heads of your college, and they're amazing people, and they love this place. And I could just see by the way they were talking, they have such pride in it. But when you graduate, you want to get great jobs. You don't want to get bad jobs, what they call bad jobs. And even the people that talk about employment in this country, they agree that it's bad jobs. That's what we have now. We don't have the good jobs anymore. We have the bad jobs. And we don't want the bad jobs because the good jobs are away. They're not in this country. And, they talk about a 5% unemployment rate. That was a statistic that was devised in terms of the way they devised the number and come to the number, the final conclusion. That was arrived at very, very simply. That was arrived at so that presidents and politicians look good. It bears no relation. In fact, when you say a 5% unemployment rate, they even say it's less. But that doesn't count all the people that looked and gave up looking for jobs. And you folks understand what I'm talking about. I do so many college tours now. This is different for me because 8 months ago, I wasn't a politician. I like that just great. I never thought I'd be a politician. I can't believe I'm doing this, to be honest with you. I dealt with politicians all my life. The last thing I wanted to do is be a politician. But we also want to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. It's not even a question. We're going to make America great again, and that's why I'm doing it. And so I look at what's happening, and I looked at what's happening just with one example, NATO, the billions of dollars that we spend, all of that money that we spend, and other countries are taking advantage of us. They're just taking advantage. They're not putting up their fair share. You look at the United Nations, same thing. I mean, what do we ever get out of the United Nations? Do you ever hear that the United Nations solved a problem? It's become a political hornet's nest. We spend a fortune on it, disproportionate, always disproportionate. You know, it's never disproportionate in our favor. It's always disproportionate, where the United States pays much more than anybody else, even though other people benefit much more than we do. So we're going to get it stopped. We're going to get it stopped. And this is so important, what's happening now, and I'm here for the week. And I've got a lot of stops. We had a great time yesterday at CNN. We did a town hall last night, which was well received and well reviewed. We have another one today, and we have another one on Monday with Sean Hannity. And we have a lot of different things planned, but I'm going to be here for a period of the week. I have many friends in Wisconsin. I fully understand Wisconsin. I wouldn't say that your governor loves me. Because, no, I knocked him out. I mean, you know, he endorsed Lion Ted Cruz. Lion Ted. Lion. He's a liar. Ooh. Bible high, puts it down, and then he lies, you know. He's a liar. I never met a liar like him. I met a lot tougher people than him, but I never met a guy that lied as much. Remember what he did to Ben Carson in Iowa? Ben has left the race. He has left the race. This is during the election day. The votes are being cast. Ben has left the race. And, you know, a lot of those people voted for Cruz. And then after the election was over, he called Ben. Oh, Ben, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know, but I'd like to apologize. Oh, great. That makes you feel better, right? No, I've never quite seen it. These politicians are bad dudes, right? I mean, they're bad. What? What do you... I think that was a positive. Oh, okay. I thought that was, I know, I thought that was a positive statement. I said, oh, no, not another agitator. I call them agitators as opposed to protesters. Protesters are fine. Agitators are people that do it sort of semi-professionally, and we have some professionals also. But we're doing well. We have millions of votes more than Cruz, millions of votes more than Kasich. Yesterday it was certified, the numbers were certified in Missouri, so we won Missouri also. You know, they had a recount in Missouri, which we won, and now it was just certified. We actually got 300 and something more votes, which didn't matter because we won the state, but we won Missouri. We had an interesting one, but we won Louisiana, but because of the, let's call it politics. Let's not use any word other than politics. But I get less votes. I win. How would you like to be in a position like this? You go out, you campaign, you go around, you make speeches. I made a lot of speeches in Louisiana. The final speech was amazing. We were at an airport. We were at a hangar. The hangar was like for massive airplanes, like 747s. The place was packed. And what did I do? I won. And then I found out, even though I won, I get less delegates than the guy that doesn't win. You think that's fair? I mean, honestly, you think it's fair? Somebody said, well, you have to know. You don't have to know anything. I got the most votes. I should win. I mean, it's very simple. I got the most votes, and I didn't get the most delegates, right? So the Republican Party hasn't treated me properly, in my opinion, and they haven't. They haven't treated me fairly. But I've got millions of more votes, and we have a movement going on. Millions of people are voting that didn't vote before in Republicans, and many of them are voting for me, in all fairness. And the people that are coming across are Republicans, but tremendous numbers of Democrats that like Trump, tremendous numbers of independents, and something that I love, people that have never voted before. People that have never voted before because they've never had anybody they wanted to vote for. We're getting tremendous numbers of, I didn't know there were so many people. But when I do handshaking and signings and things, I tell you what, every 20th person says to me, Mr. Trump, I've never voted before. And these are 30-year-old people, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. In Tennessee, we had one that was 93 years old, a woman. so beautiful. She was an incredible woman, so beautifully dressed, everything. And she had a Trump sticker right on her dress. And I said, that's unbelievable. And she's 93, and everybody knew about it. It's actually a big story in Tennessee. And she said she's voting for the first time because she really believes in what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is borders, and I'm strengthening the military and taking care of our vets. Our vets are being treated horribly, folks. I mean, without our vets, we would be nowhere. They're being treated horribly. But all of these things, and millions and millions of people are coming in and voting in the Republican primaries. Some of the states are up 102 and 107%. I saw two of them. Massachusetts was up, way up, and that was, I got almost 50% of the vote. Remember, when I get 50% or 48%, but there are 7 or 8 or 10 people running, that's pretty amazing. You know, somebody said, he doesn't break, I watch some of these pundits on television. It's so sad to watch them, you know, because the hatred is just, I watch this guy Krauthammer. He doesn't get 50%. He doesn't break 50%. I watch Karl Rove. He always talks about he's not breaking 50%. Well, it's hard to break 50% when you have 17 people running, okay? I can't explain it to these people. You know, when you have 17 people, we started off with 17, actually, truly 18, but they were 17. And of the 17, I mean, you had senators, you had governors, you have guys like Ben Carson, who's a fantastic guy, who's a very accomplished guy, and he's running, and Carly is running, and you know, but you had 17 really accomplished people, and most of them politicians, most of them governors and senators. And they're going to have their 3%, their 4%. You had Lindsey Graham. You had all of these people, and they're taking votes. And then they say, Donald Trump has only hit 48%. I said, 48%? I mean, 48% is good if you have 3 people. But I don't like it if you have 2 people. But I like it if you have 3 people. So we're doing amazingly well. A good poll came out the other day from NBC, which was we were at 48%, you know, and I think they had 3 or 4 people in the poll, but we were at 48%. So it's going really well. Wisconsin is really important because if we win Wisconsin, I think it's going to be very close. We're going to do really well in New York. We're going to do really well in New Jersey. I think we're going to do great in Pennsylvania. I went to school in Pennsylvania, the Wharton School of Finance. And I think we're going to do fantastically there. But I just want to tell you, because when I saw all this youth, this great-looking young people, okay, I just said, you know, I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes about success. Should I do that? I mean, should I do that? Or do you want to hear about this boring politics, right? Should I talk about a little bit? I'm given so much money to talk about success, and I give it to charities. But I love talking about success. Frankly, I like talking about success much more than politics, right? But there are a few things when you're talking about being successful. And I say it, and I say it, and it's never going to change. You have to love what you do. You're all young. Ideally, you'll love something that's a good business. For instance, some businesses aren't good business. I won't name them, but they're tough businesses. Other businesses historically have been good businesses. You have to absolutely love what you do. Ideally, love what you do in a good business, but you know what? If it's not necessarily that good, the loving is more important than having that good business. Some people want to be teachers. I mean, some of the happiest people and the most successful people that I know are people that aren't the richest at all. They don't make it all the most money. They're teachers, they're scientists. I know people that are scientists that are like, they can't wait to get to work. They can't wait. Policemen, you know, our police departments are I think, terribly disrespected. I think they're not given the credit for the great job they do. I have to be honest with you. So true. And our vets and our people, our military. But I will tell you that the happy people are the people, number one, the people with great families, people that have great relationships with their wives or husband. Very, very important toward success. Because I don't consider success necessarily monetary, because I know the most successful people in the world. And many of these people are really miserable people, okay? No matter what. And perhaps I'm in that category, okay? But I'm pretty happy. At least I'm very content, I can tell you. But some of the most successful people in the world, I know like many of them. I don't know all, I guess, but I seem to know all. And they cross my path a lot. And they're not necessarily happy people. They're very wealthy people, but they're, in many cases, extremely unhappy. Now, with all of that, I don't want to talk you out of things because we're talking about success. Most people think success is measured in the form of monetary success. It's not really. I mean, to me, a successful person who has a great family, who loves the family, loves the children, and the children love him or her, to me, that's a much more successful person than a person that's made $1 billion or $10 billion and is miserable and doesn't have a good family and nobody likes the person. And, you know, I've seen them. I think I've seen every type of person there is that God created, if you want to know the truth. And the people are the happiest are not necessarily the people who are the wealthiest, okay? But in terms of monetary success, it does make life easier. You don't have to worry about food and housing and education and sickness. Your doctors, you go to the best doctors, and hopefully that solves the problems. But it does make life easier. And I tell so many stories about different types of people. For instance, you gotta love what you do. You're gonna never, ever quit or give up. Never quit. You're gonna be so close. My father used to tell a story. He thought it was funny, but I actually thought it was more of a lesson. He viewed it as funny. And it was about a man who loved the cola business. He loved, you know, soft drinks. That's what he loved. He just loved the business. Isn't it strange how people like different businesses? Look at all these geniuses, the heads of your college. And I think you like this better than politics, too. Don't we like this better? This politics, oh. So what happens is he loved the cola business. And he founded a company. It was called 3-Up. And my father would tell this story. He'd laugh, but I'd listen, and I'd say, I don't want to laugh. It's a lesson. And he found his company, 3-Up. And he was very proud, but the company wasn't making it, didn't work, and he gave up, and it was just no good, and it went out of business. But he never wanted to quit. And he did another one. It was 4-Up. And he did 5-Up. And he did 6-Up, and they would all fail. And he just kept failing, and finally he gave up. And my father would say, if he only came up, if he just worked a little bit harder, just one more, he would have had 7-Up, and he would have been a tremendous success. And I laugh because I think of my father telling me that story. And we viewed it differently. And what I viewed it is not as comedy. I viewed it as never, ever give up. You know, just never give up. You can't. I view another word that you never hear when you're talking about success, and that's momentum. Some people, and you have to know about yourself. You have to know about momentum. Some people have a great momentum. It's even like me on the campaign trail. I took off 3 or 4 days, which is a lot because I've been going for months without any. A lot of people say, unlike Jeb, you have very high energy, right? It's true. But you know, you take 3 or 4 days off, and that first day or two back, it's like, you know, you got to get going. You got to get going. It's almost like don't take any time off. Vacation. If you want vacations, you're not really in the right business. I hardly ever take time off because I love what I'm doing, whether it's my business or whether it's now this, we're going to make America great again, and whether it's this, no matter what. But the word momentum is a very important word, and you have to understand it, and you have to understand how to think about momentum. And it's a word you never hear when you hear about success, but it's so important. And what happens is there was a man named William Levitt, and I had great respect for him. He was a great real estate person. And he was a young man, and he built Levittowns. Has anyone ever heard of Levittowns? Well, Levittowns were these massive housing developments, largely in Long Island, Pennsylvania, different places, but massive. He was really the first of the massive builders of homes. And he was a young man. He did unbelievably, became very, very rich, and everything he touched turned to gold, and it was incredible. And then what happened is he was offered a lot of money by Gulf and Western. It was a big conglomerate to buy his company. And you have to understand, William Levitt used to go around looking for nails, looking for sawdust. He'd sell the sawdust. He'd save the nails and use them again. He'd save chips of wood and use them for different things. Everything was perfect. He knew how to get zoning. He'd have lunch with the mayor. He'd have lunch with the council. He'd have dinner with everybody. He was the ultimate professional real estate developer, and he built Levittowns. Remember, he was the first really large-scale housing sprawl all over the country. Actually, they went all over the world. So Gulf and Western came to him, and they offered him a lot of money, more money than he ever thought possible. And he took it. And